Sorry. श्री श्री राधा गोपनाथ भगवान की जय। श्री गौरताय की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई प्रभु सुदर्शन की जय। पंचतत्व की जय। नरसिंह देव की जय। श्री जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरों वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगणलिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। परमानंद महादेवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं रङ्गायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। मैत्रेय उवाच एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वाचा जनित्री सकर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः विशरातं मोहपाताल तम् अभिप्रानम्यः तुष्टव तत्त्वविशङ्खिता सिद्धिभूमि। एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वाचो जनित्री। एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वाचो जनित्री सकर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः विश्रस्तमोहपाताल तम् अभिप्राणयम्यय तुष्टव तत्त्वविशङ्खिता सिद्धिभूमिम्। मैत्रेय उवाच एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वाचो जनित्री सकर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः विशरात महोपाताल तम् अभिप्राणमम्य तुष्टव तत्त्वविशङ्खिता सिद्धिभूमिम्। Would anyone like to repeat? एवं निशम्य कपिलस्य वाचो जनित्री एवं निशम्य च कपिलस्य वचो जनित्री सकर्दमस्य दयिता किल देवहूतिः विश्वस्तमोहपतला तम् अभिप्रणम्य तुष्टावतत्त्वविषयङ्कितसिद्धिभूमि Mataji's? Anyone? Okay, we'll skip and we'll straight away go to the translation because we are running late. Uh, Maitra Uvacha, Maitra said, Evam thus, Nishamya having heard Kapilasya of Lord Kapil, Vacha, the words, Janitri, the mother, Sir, she, Kardamasya of Kardama Muni, Taita, the dear wife, Kila, namely, Devahuti, Vishrata, free from, Moha Patala, the covering of illusion, Tam, onto him, Abhiranamya, Abhiranamya, having offended, offered obeisances. Tushtava, recited prayers. Tattva, basic principles. Vishaya, in the matter of. Ankita, the author. Siddhi, of liberation. Bhumim, the background. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devavati, the mother of Lord Kapila and wife of Kardama Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered her obeisances to the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is background of liberation, and she satisfied him with the following verses of prayer. We'll quickly read the purport. The system of philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila before his mother is the background for situation on the spiritual platform. The specific significance of this system of philosophy is stated herein as Siddhi movement. It is the background of salvation. People who are suffering in the material world because they are conditioned by the material energy can easily get freedom from the clutches of matter by understanding the Sankhya philosophy, enunciated by Kapila. By this system of philosophy, one can immediately become free, free even though one is situated in the material world. This stage is called Jivan Mukti. This means that one is liberated even though one stays with his material body. That happened for Devoti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering her prayers. Anyone who understands the basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated, even within this material world. Maitreya Uvacha, Evam Nishamya Kapila Vachano Vacho Janitri Sakardamasa Daita Kila Devauti Vishwate Mohapatala Tam Abhi Pranamya Tushyate Tattva Vishankita Siddhi Bhumi. So, we just starting chapter 33. We yesterday ended chapter 32, where Kapil Muni declares himself as God, and he says, anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back to Godhead. So here Kapil Muni is declaring himself as God. We know that, do you guys know that there were actually two Kapilas? One was Vishnu Avatar Kapila, and the other one was a sage who proposed the atheistic philosophy. So, we're starting with this shloka where Shukdev Goswami. So this is a conversation between a conversation in a conversation in a conversation. So this conversation is happening between Shruta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishis, who is quoting the conversation between Shaunaka and sages in Naimisharanya, and the sages and in Naimisharanya are listening to Harikatha from Shaunaka, and Shaunaka is reciting the katha which he heard between the conversation of Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. And Parishit and between Parishit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami, this is a conversation between Maitri and Vidur. And within Maitri and Vidur's conversation, this conversation is actually happening between Devoti and Lord Kapila. So here we would just brief on. So this is a conversation between Maitreya and Vidur, and after listening to the Sankhya philosophy from Lord Kapila's mouth, Devavati Maya is offering her prayers, and that's very common. We see before starting, before receiving knowledge, one prayers. Before finishing the Bhagavatam class, one prays. So this is very common, and this is very this is the Vaishnava culture. We see that the feeling of gratitude and the feeling of always receiving knowledge and humility is always seen in all cantos of Bhagavatam and all conversations between any two elevated devotees. So we see that now Devavati would, from next slokas on, Devavati Maya would start her prayers and would start glorifying Lord Kapila, although she was self-enlightened and it was her humble position that she said that I'm in material distress and that my husband has left and I'm too attached to material enjoyments and I'm not been able to get a chance to receive spiritual knowledge or self-enlightenment and takes shelter of Lord Kapila. But the fact that she's the mother of the Supreme Lord tells how elevated position she is in. And so we'll just brush up on a basic definition of Sankhya. So Prakriti's elements. So Sankhya is basically dissection, and it's Sankhya. If you actually see, it can also mean counting, or it can also mean to dissect and stage-wise go through a contemplative understanding of what the source is. It's there are questions you ask. So there are 24 elements. So there are two prominent elements in Sankhya, Prakriti and Purusha. Now the difference between the Sankhya philosophy of Kapil Muni and Lord Kapil is that Kapil Muni neglects the idea of God, and that's why it's atheistic, because he has this conception that everything is automatic and all the elements, he recognizes the elements of the material world, but he recognizes the Prakriti, but he doesn't recognize the Purusha. This might be a bit confusing, but as we go, we'll get a clear definition of what we're talking about. So Lord Kapil, he actually highlights on the fact of the existence of God and how Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the reason, Sarva Karana Karana. He's the reason for all the automatic things which are happening or which we are seeing and which we are not seeing. So Prakriti are the material elements, and Purusha, or primary reason behind everything, is a contemplative study and parallel by asking parallel questions is what basically Sankhya is in just. So 24 elements would be Prakriti's elements, Tanmantra, sound, smell, touch, color and taste. The if anyone wants to take notes, I'm just like telling you with the 24 elements of Prakriti. So Prakriti's elements, Tanmantra, sound, smell, touch, color and taste. And Panchma Bhut. Krishna says, Pumira Pinala Vayu, Kamna Vitri Yavacha Ankaretin Yame Pinna Prakriti Rastata. So earth, fire, water, air and ether. Then we've got Karmendriya as well. Speech, hands, legs, anus and genitals. You perform actions. You perform actions from these karmendriya, and that's what gets you entangled in the karmic cycle. Because whatever actions we perform from this, from these five sense organs, these are what bind us to the karmic reaction. Because just by thinking, you don't do a sin. Obviously, we should keep our thoughts and we should keep our emotions pure. But let's say because we Bad Jivas, we Kaliyug Jivas, third class batch. Uh, we even if we do something from our mind, something from our mind, that's a separate thing that it takes birth in our mind and it slowly sprouts and then comes in action. But if you just think something wrong from your mind, you wouldn't really get the sinful reaction for that. So that's why mind is not a karmendriya. Till the time you do not perform a sin in action, you don't really incur a sin. So these five sense organs are karmendriya because these are the sense organs, the gross elements, gross sense organs through which one performs actions and then incurs into pious or impious actions and reactions. So then there are five Gyanendriyas as well. So ears, skin, nose, eyes, and tongue. You feel and you experience the world through these five sense organs. You see the world through your eyes. You hear the Prajalp or Harikatha. The choice is all up to you. All up to your samskars and manbuddhi and ahankar. So you receive whatever the world has to offer through these five sense organs: ears, nose, eyes, tongue, skin. And then there's a subtle body. Man buddhi ahankar. Buddhi bhumi nalo vayu kamna buddhi revacha ahankara itiyame bhinna prakriti. So man, buddhi and ahankar are the subtle body. And then we also add one which is dusha chetna, which is consciousness. Now consciousness is an attribute of the soul, but a perverted consciousness or dushat consciousness is also the 24th element. Then the other thing which we can understand from this is that now these are 24 elements, but this is matter, because none of this will actually function or be in action if there is absence of soul. Or then when the minute soul comes in the picture, the question would come: where is the soul coming from? Wouldn't it? Because if everything is automatic, I was listening to a lecture, a very funny lecture of Amogli Prabhu, and he was saying that how the atheistic Sankhya works is that they say that the cow eats grass and then produces milk, and then the jiva drinks milk, and then the calf drinks milk, and then the calf grows up and mates, and then they produce milk, and then that's an automatic circle. If you actually see practically, where's the question of God in this, or where's the question of any higher spiritual philosophy in this? This is just automatic. And then Amoglia Prabhu, obviously, because when he says it's super humorous, he says that the question would be who actually made this cow like that? Because if you feed grass to the bull, you won't get milk. The function and actually even Prabhupada in his book, The Perfect Questions and Perfect Answers, says is that what he says is that an intelligent man, the difference between an intelligent man's psychology and a child's psychology would be that when a child sees a toy, you key the toy, you spin the key and then the toy moves. So when the child sees the toy, he sees that the toy is moving on its own, and he gets happy and he gets excited. But an intelligent man sees that because someone has keyed that toy, someone has made that toy in such a way that when you key him, when you key it, it moves automatically. So that's the common difference. That's the major difference between the child's philosophy, the child's sense of perception, and a mature adult's sense of perception. That they recognize the reason behind the reason. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigra Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That he is the reason for all reasons. He is the source of all sources. So this is what this philosophy what basic difference between Lord Kapila, Vishnu Avatar, what Kapila's philosophy is, and the atheistic philosophy, or the atheistic Sankhya philosophy, is that they recognize the Prakriti elements, but they fail to understand the Purusha elements. And you feed, I was saying that you feed grass to the bull, milk won't come out. So the person who has made this who has organized this mechanism is what we're talking about, and that is what Lord Kapila is focusing on. Anyway, we also know that there's a lot of incarnations which we confuse. For example, Nindasi Agna Vihera Shati Jatam Sadaridaya Dashita Pashughatam Keshavajita Buddha Sharira Jai Jai Shri Jai 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 Jai. A lot of people confuse this Buddha with Gautam Buddha or Siddhartha Buddha. Buddhists are always very agitated that why are you linking Buddhism with Hinduism? Why are you saying that Buddha is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu? Is the ninth incarnation. Actually, the Buddha which they worship is not the incarnation Buddha. Our Buddha is Vishnu incarnation Buddha. He came much before Gautam Buddha or Siddhartha Buddha. So yeah, the Siddhartha Buddha is Shatasingha Buddha, and he was born. He took birth in Lumbini, Nepal, whereas our Vishnu Buddha was born in Bodh Gaya, present-day Bihar. But the common link is that even this Siddhartha Buddha was enlightened in Bodh Gaya, and actually the philosophy was basically same between of ahimsa and self-awareness, but the difference was that Vishnu incarnation Buddha never rejected the scriptures, whereas this Buddha rejects the scriptures. And he said that if scriptures preach ahimsa or violence towards animals or towards humans, then I want to reject these scriptures. But whereas Vishnu Avatar Buddha kept the scriptures in prominent position and propagated non-violence. Nindasi yagna vihe haha shruti jatam sadaridaya darshita pashughatam. Seeing the seeing the ghastly killing of animals, sadaridaya darshita pashughatam, and he said ahaha is basically, it's like a sad gesture in Sanskrit. So Nindasi yagna vihe ahaha shruti jatam, and he rejected the Shrutis, and so that Keshavajita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagdishara. So this is the difference. A lot of time we actually confuse, and a lot of time not in ISKCON, because it's very clear for us that Lord Kapil and the Kapil and the sage Kapil's philosophy and the difference we understand. But a lot of times people in the material world, when they hear Sankhya philosophy, they get the idea of the sage Kapila's idea, whose atheistic philosophy prevails, and that's what they understand. But Srimad Bhagavatam or the Amal Puran, when one actually hears Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana Amalam Prema Pramartha Mahan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tathra. So when someone reads Srimad Bhagavatam, they actually get to know what real Sankhya is. There are six schools of knowledge. Sankhya is one of them. So they get to know what the real ideology of Sankhya is when they read Srimad Bhagavatam and when they hear the pastimes of Lord Kapila and Devahuti. And so we covered the difference between atheistic and non-atheistic philosophy, that how the atheistic philosophy rejects the idea of God, and whereas the whole idea of Sankhya is actually dependent on attaining the Purusha. Because the minute I was saying that the minute the idea of soul comes in, then there has to be an idea of super soul. Because Prakriti is dead matter. Unless and until there's a key to get the toy moving. So there's a key like soul to get the body moving or to get the world function. So we see that the idea of soul comes from Srimad Bhagavatam from Kapil Muni's conversation with Devahuti, and then this is this is a this is a very theological understanding of the Lord. You know, if someone's if someone is not in that is not on that level where they can just understand and recognize and experience God's presence in His creation, then one can take up to a very systematic approach towards where a person asks questions that why is this and why is that and where is this and where is that. If cow is feeding on grass and if that is producing milk, then why is it that the cow produces and why is that the buffalo doesn't produce any milk? So this is like a why and how question and answer session. Sankhya is a very systematic questionnaire basically, which you solve and the conclusion you reach is Radha Gopinath, which through Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission we very easily understood that how that the best way to receive spirituality or to experience God is through genuine love. And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has this very famous shloka, and this is like the crest jewel, just like in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Paritagya Mamekam Sharanam Rajaham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayami Mashucha is like the most favored and most spoken words. Similarly, in Srimad Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anyabhilashitashrine Jnana Karmana Avratam Anukulena Krishna Anushilena Bhakti Ratama is a very famous shloka. So even we see that when Krishna was actually giving a systematic understanding to Arjuna, Arjuna was not able to understand, and at last Krishna in 18th chapter says, okay, forward Maru, whatever you've understood, take a break and just surrender out to me. Sarva dharman paritagya, leave all varieties of dharma. Paritagya maam ekam sharanam raja. Just take shelter of mind. Maam ekam sharanam raja. Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami mashucha. Mashucha is like I assure, indeed you will, ho jayega. It's like he's reassuring Arjuna that aham tam sarva papebhyo, I'll free you from all sinful reactions. Mashucha, indeed I will. So that we see that even if that for especially people in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult for us to actually come to that understanding of God through systematic questions, because there are 4 defects in Kali Yuga. Bad jivas, in jivas there are 4 defects. One is tendency to make mistakes, and the other is to forget things. It is quite possible that we might have a very heavy Bhagavatam class, but in the evening if someone asks me what I spoke, I will not be able to say if I don't refer to my notes. That is why I make notes, because I have this tendency to forget. So we see that the tendency to forget is so common in people in Kali Yuga, that even if given a chance of actually understanding spirit through a systematic question and answer session, the person will actually forget half of the questions and most importantly, half of the answers which the speaker has actually answered. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Rupa Goswami also very systematically approaches path of bhakti, and he says Anya Vilashitashrana Jnana Karma Anavritam Anukulena Krishna Anushilena Bhakti Ratama. So the characteristic of bhakti is that it's devoid of gyan and karma. Now when we say gyan, actually what we're going through in the Bhagavatam class, this is also gyan, but this is not dry speculation. And when we read Bhagavatam, this is also actually gyan. Shivan Bhagavatam, how many shlokas we've memorized, how much efficient we are in understanding the religious books which Prabhupada has given to us. That is also gyan, but this gyan is different from the gyan which we are talking about. So when we say Jnana Karma Navratam, a lot of people say that ISKCONites or ISKCONis are very jnani in their approach. But there's a difference between Gyan which does not lead you to Krishna consciousness, or which does not lead you to surrender to Krishna, that gyan is not actually um advised in the path of bhakti. The another month is going on. One of the when the pastime of Yashoda Mai churning the butter, the churning the butter comes. One commentator says that the reason why Krishna held the rod was that Krishna wanted to say that, oh Maya, why are you unnecessarily churning the Vedas when you've already got Vedam samatitani vartamanani charjana bhutani bhavishani mamtu vedana kachana. That when I am the source of the Vedas and I am to be known from the Vedas, when you've already got me as your son, why do you want to unnecessarily churn the Vedic scriptures? So that's one of the commentators' commentary. He says that the reason why Krishna actually held the churning rod was he was wanting to tell Yashodamai that if Yashodamai would be a jiva, then Krishna would want to tell the jivas through this example is that one should not unnecessarily churn the Vedas and scriptures just to get knowledge, which does not get a person to surrender to Krishna. So this gyan is very different from the gyan which we understand in this, which we receive in this spiritual organization. So jnana karma anavritam. Karma. A lot of people say that okay, Bhagavad Gita is just about karma yoga. Krishna says karma karo, karma karo, karma karo. Do work, do work, do work. But a lot of people, in fact, everyone, no one can actually be without action. Everyone is doing karma in this material world. A person is going to the office, he's doing karma. A butcher is killing animals, he's doing karma. So if Krishna would have asked Arjuna to do karma, then everyone is doing karma. But why is everyone not self-enlightened? Or why is that everyone not experiencing that stage of enlightenment? Because Krishna did not ask Arjuna to do karma. He asked Arjuna to do karma yoga. This is like a very small word but makes a very big impact which people actually forget. Bhagavad Gita is not at all about karma. It is all about karma yoga. Now, would you tell the difference between karma and karma yoga? Prabhuji? What is the difference between karma and karma yoga? Service to the Lord. Yeah. So just that everyone understands, once it's karma is getting engaged in fruitive actions. You do this, you get this. But when you do karma, not being attached to the credit or not being attached to the fall or the result of it, but you are just doing action to give the result to Krishna. Actually, I would be wrong to say that if you're not attached to the file, because then that just doesn't give you the motivation of doing something. Imagine if someone would just go to the university and study and they don't know what the outcome would be. It's like an endless study. He doesn't know, okay, I go to the university because I know hopefully after 3 years, I pass and I get a degree. But if a person doesn't know that they're going to the university and they get a degree, there will be lack of motivation to actually go to the university and study. So, but where karma comes in picture is that you offer the fun or the reaction of your karma to Sri Krishna. If someone is working outside, like I know, there are so many devotees, brahmacharis who are working outside. Whatever Lakshmi they're getting, they're using in reconstructing this temple, or they're using in Krishna's service. That is Karma Yoga. Whatever action you do, if you are doing that action for Krishna, and if you make sure, some people say, okay, yeah, whatever karma I'm doing it for Krishna. But you have to make sure that the fal or the reaction has to go in the service of the Lord. Only then that karma becomes Karma Yoga. Are we getting it? So karma means getting engaged in fruitive actions. You're just doing work for the heck of doing it, and you're just doing it for your own sense gratification because you want to enjoy the reactions. So you're doing work, you're getting paid, and you're using that money for your own self. That is your karma, and you will get a karmic reaction depending on how you spend that Lakshmi. If you spend that Lakshmi for Bhogavritti, for your own sense gratification, or you use that Lakshmi for Lakshmi Pati Vishnu Seva. But yeah, so that is the difference between karma and karma yoga. So when Rupa Goswami is writing Anyavilashrita Shunya Jnana Karma and Avratam, it is not that he's saying no karma at all. He's saying karma. He's saying karma done for one's own self gratification, whereas karma done in Krishna consciousness is always welcomed. A lot of 90% of grasas are actually working outside and they're doing karma, but what they are doing is you know, they're offering that Lakshmipati seva. They've got deities at home when they've got deities at home. So whatever wealth they have, they acquire, they are using some part of it to make a temple for the Lord, or to get groceries for the Lord. So whatever a person does, Prabhupada was in his commentary to Bhagavad Gita, he says that a person in Krishna consciousness always thinks how I can serve Krishna in different ways. If a person goes to the market, he sees something very nice, he sees, oh, I can use this in the Lord's service. He gets it, he buys it, and he uses that in the Lord's service. So we understand that whatever a person has to do, the reaction of it has to somehow be offered in the service of Sri Krishna. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna nivedayat. ऐसे कैसे करके you just have to come in bhakti. So this is the different jnana karma navratam anukulena. What is anukulena mean? What does anukulena mean? Favorable, exactly. So something which is favorable to Krishna consciousness. We know Kans was actually Sada Krishna Bhavana Bhavitamati. There's this shlokams Sada Bhava Bhavitamati Yetam Yati Katopi Labhyate. So he was always in remembrance of Krishna. Actually, he was remembering Krishna as much as gopis were remembering. He couldn't even sleep in the night because he would see that a blue color hand would be coming and choking his neck. He would just think of Devaki's eighth son is still alive. He will kill me. He will kill me. He will kill me. But would you call that bhakti? No, because it's not favorable to Krishna. What is he incur out of that? He wants to kill Krishna. He wants to destroy the reason of his death, the cause of his death. Whereas when gopis are thinking, they are thinking about Krishna constantly. This comes that one morning all the gopis come and they said that, oh, we were thinking about this and we slept and we got Krishna in our dreams. We saw Krishna doing this with us in our dreams. We saw Krishna having this pastime with us in our dreams. And all the gopis were sharing that I had this dream about Krishna, I had this dream about Krishna, and that's how I was spending time with Krishna. But when Radharani was being asked, she was actually sad. She was having having a sad face because she said that I was thinking about Krishna so much that I couldn't even sleep. So that is the level of bhakti, and we see a parallel that even Kamsa is having that level, but that is not anukulene Krishna. That is not favorable to bhakti. Whereas Radharani's bhakti or Gopi's bhakti is favorable to bhakti. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ramya Kachita Upasana Vrajavadu. That if bhakti has to be performed, it has to be performed on in the footsteps of the Braja Gopis. Ramya Kachita Vasana Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena Vakalpitash. So yeah, that is what we are understanding from this, that Anukulena, Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. That is the definition of bhakti. And obviously, I really think this is very important, that bhakti actually comes from the association of devotees. Bhaktistu Bhakta Sangyena Parichayat. I was listening to some lecture and they were saying the topic was Ekantina Bhakti. So a disciple of Prabhupada said that, oh Prabhupada, I want to go to Vrindavan and I want to do Nirjan Bhajan. I just want to sit in a kutia and just chant the whole day. I don't want to stay in, let's say, New York. I don't want to stay in Australia and be in a place where you actually go out for book distribution. No one is actually wanting to buy a book. You go out with free prasad, Krishna prasad, to give people. But people in Kali Yuga are so mandamati and mandbhagya that they just don't have the pious credits to accept the remnants of the Lord. So I don't want to stay at such an ugra place or such a karmi place. I just want to stay in the dham and do Nirjan Bhajan. And Prabhupada said, actually, if you stay here, you'll get purified. If you go to the dham and try doing bhajan, you won't be able to do it. And that actually happened. The person actually went and he was never able to, never ever seen again. Because I don't know where the person, they don't know where the person went. Maybe he went back to his karmi lifestyle. Or whatever happened. So, one reason is definitely because a bona fide acharya is saying this. And if you're not following a guru, then surely destruction is to come upon you. But the other reason is that whatever difficulties one has to experience and has to go through in the path of bhakti, one has to willingly accept it. If they find, like 90% of the times I have tried to find a shortcut, if I can. Um, but that is the thing, that the difficulties bring purification. Today is the first day of Bhishma Panchaka. We see that Bhishma was actually on the opposite side, but he was one of the pure devotees. He's one of the 12 Mahajanas. But he was on the opposite side fighting Krishna and Krishna's favorite beings. We see a similar example in Srimad Bhagavatam, where Vitrasur, being a pure devotee, is fighting on the opposite side. It's like the worst nightmare for Vitrasur to fight his own god brothers, or to fight his own devotees. We know how much we like and we crave for devotee association, to be among devotees. Sunday, when the temple is jam packed, we are so happy. Maximum people come on Sunday for devotee association. Radha Gopinath is there all 7 days a week. But temple is not just meant for worshipping deities, but it is also meant for receiving spiritual knowledge and receiving bhakti and receiving devotee association. So we see that Bhishma was actually misunderstood so much, and by some non-devotees, he still is there, and he was fighting on the opposite side. But we see that his consciousness was always to serve Krishna. So anukulena Krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. Even if we see from an outward point of view the circumstances that the person is actually opposing the devotees or opposing bhakti, but if the person is actually genuinely trying to fall in love with the supreme lover Shri Krishna, then we see that that person still gets delivered. I was remembering that when His Grace Rajnath Prabhu came to my house. Actually, my brother is a bit skeptical about the path of bhakti, so I was purposely asking him tricky questions. When Rajnath Prabhu came to our house, he was giving a class. I was purposely asking him tricky questions so that he answers them and my brother gets a clear understanding. So in that way, I was actually, whatever he was saying, I was actually negating it. Even though I was understanding what he was trying to say in his spirit, in his Bhagavatam class, I was still trying to say that, okay, I don't agree to this, but how do I come to this conclusion? But I don't agree to this, but I don't agree to this. So I was actually, I'm not saying that I'm a pure devotee, but I was just saying that it was very humorous for me. Later, I was actually, I went to Rajnath Prabhu and I apologized for being so, so revoltive, if that's a word. So revolting to whatever he was saying, because I wanted my brother to have a clear understanding of what the path of bhakti is. So we see that there are examples in Srimad Bhagavatam where devotees are externally in an opposite position. They externally we can see that they're doing disservice to the Lord, but internally their motive is always to serve the Lord. We see a similar example of Akruda. We all of us, every day, we just pray to Srimati Radharani, to all the gopis to give us bhakti and to give us a chance to serve Krishna in their party. But we see, if you ask gopis whom you hate a lot in the entire creation, if you have to name some personalities whom you hate a lot, they would say definitely Akruda and they would say Brahma, because Brahma gave us eyes with eyelids so they constantly blink and we're not able to see the Lord. But more than that, we hate Akrura for taking Krishna away. So he's a devotee who took all the, you know, all like galis and all negative things from the gopis. That he's actually, his name is Akrura, but he's the most cruel personality in the entire creation, who's taking the life air out of Vrindavan. But actually, Akrura, we see that how much love he had for Krishna Balaram, how much in mood of service he was towards the Lord. So sometimes we see that we are put in these difficult circumstances where it is difficult for us to recognize serving the Lord, and recognizing how the other person is actually serving the Lord, because of our limited understanding of what a devotee would be. I really like this quote that sometimes people are so busy, devotees are so busy being devotees that they forget how to be human beings. It is very, it is possible that a person might be a good human being, but might not be a good devotee. But it is not possible that a good devotee will not be a good human being, because whatever love towards the Lord he has, if for example, if you love your child, you wouldn't you would also automatically love your child's creation. Let's say your child makes a painting, you would definitely love that. You won't tear it into the pieces, even if it's capped, even if it's just some crayons and everything and all rubbish on the paper, but still you would preserve it because it's made by your child. So similarly, when one recognizes Krishna as Parampita, or when someone recognizes Krishna as the Bija Prada, that he's the source of everything, he's the Supreme Father, he automatically recognizes all the souls and all the living entities as the creation of the Lord. And one cannot love the Creator but hate its creation. So it is very, very unlikely to say that a devotee will not be a good human being, because whatever love towards the Lord he has will automatically manifest towards the world, because he sees everything in relation with God. Are we getting what I'm trying to say? So this is a very important point. The other important point in this shloka we see is the power of gratitude. We see that how Devavati Maya is in so much gratitude to Lord Kapila for actually helping her understand the path of self-realization. Devavati said, so the shloka is, she offered her obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation, and she satisfied him with the following verses of prayer. We see that the prayers, the prayers have such an important part in Srimad Bhagavatam. Every conversation ends with a prayer, whether it's it's the prayers of Bhishma Dev, iti mati kalpa the prayers by Bhishma Dev. He loves Krishna's Parthasarthi form, where Krishna is having these curly locks falling on his face, and there are arrow marks and some small blood oozing out. Now Krishna's body is Sachidananda Vigraha, he doesn't have blood, but just in the pastime, just to increase that mellow with his devotee, he has blood. Just like in Nityanand Prabhu's pastime when Jagai Madhai, when Madhai, it was Madhai, right, who threw a broken liquor pot on Nityanand Prabhu. He threw a broken liquor pot on Nityanand Prabhu, and he had blood. Why did he have blood? Because he knew that there was no way that these sinful creatures, Jagai and Madhai, would actually take the shelter of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if they get to know that something has happened to his Nitai, if his Nitai is bleeding, then Mahaprabhu would come running to that to the place where all this drama is happening. So just to increase that mellow, Nityanand Prabhu manifests blood. Now this is very important to understand. One, if we say that Krishna's body has blood, then Krishna is also matter. Krishna's body is matter, which is not there, because the Vedas and the scriptures say Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is the supreme personality of God, and his body is not made up of matter, jad vastu, just like ours is. So yeah, so that when Bhishma is praying to the Lord, he's praying to this form of the Lord, that the form which has curly locks falling off, which has sweat. Now Krishna's body does not sweat, but still, just to increase that mellow, increase the rasa, and increase that bhav in his devotee's heart, he's manifesting all these bodily, reactions. So that sweat or perspiring drops on his face, and some dust being smeared on his body. This is actually very similar to the similar to how gopis are enchanted by Krishna's form when they see Krishna in Braj, when Krishna is coming back during Gaudhuli time, when Krishna is coming back from herding his cows. We just had Gopashtami festival. So when Krishna comes back from herding his cows, he has the, like, curly locks falling on his hair, and from those curly hairs, someone can see Krishna's eyes, and in Krishna's glances are that no matter wherever you are, you can just see that Krishna is just looking at you, and that dhoti is being tied like this, and there's like some tiredness, and Krishna looks so handsome that ignites the lusty desires of the gopis. Now, when we say lust, it's not calm, it's praying. It's loving desires, but the conjugal desires in the heart of the gopis. So this is actually very similar. This form of Parthasarthi, which Bhishma Dev meditates on, is very similar to the past the form of Natavarajita Vesho, go Barhapidam Natavara Karnayo Karnikaram Vibratvasaha Kanaka Kapisham Vajayantim Samaram Radran Vino Adarasudaya Punayan Gopavindai Vrindaranam Sabadaramanam Pravisha Kirti. This form of Krishna which gopis see, and the part is Vijaya Sakerati Rastume, the form which Bhishma Dev is seeing if someone actually thinks, visualizes the form, it's very similar. It's just that the Lord over here is in his royal attire, whereas in that he's like a cowherd boy. Anyway, so we see that Bhishma Dev is in gratitude, just like Mother Devavati is over here, gratitude towards the Supreme Lord. Brahma is in gratitude towards the Supreme Lord. He's offering his prayers. At the beginning of creation, he's offering his prayers. Vritrasura is offering his prayers. Ajata Paksham Paramishtam. All these prayers, these beautiful prayers, a lot of times I actually do that. That we tend to skip the prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam, but that is what tells us about the mood of that particular devotee. And each and every prayer, each and every devotee has a different mood. Kajindra has a different mood. Bhishma Dev has a different mood. Vitrasur has a different mood. Externally seeing, he's a demon, he's a Daitya. But still, his mood that, oh Lord, I want to become like that helpless bird. I want to become like that newly wedded wife who's waiting for her husband to come. Or I'm waiting for that helpless bird, and bird for the waiting for the mother bird to come and feed me. So this is the mood, and this is the rasa of the devotee. This is actually very important. We should try and not miss the prayers when they come. In shlokas ahead, we will see how Devavati is actually glorifying and is actually offering her prayers to Kapil, to Lord Kapila. So prayers have a very important position in the life, in bhakti life. We see that Rup Goswami had so much gratitude towards Sanatana Goswami. Actually, in most of the bhajans of Rup Goswami, you will see he's always trying to mention Sanatana Goswami's name. Just like in Radhe Jai Jai Madhav Dekhe, the last line he says, Sanaka Sanatana Varanita Charite Radhe Jai Jai Madhav Dekhe. So this is one meaning could be that he's talking about the four Kumaras, Sanaka Sanatan. He's also, on most of his shlokas, he has this bhav of gratitude. He has this emotion and this feeling of gratitude towards Sanatana Goswami. he makes kheer. He when he desires to make kheer for Sanatan Goswami, Radharani herself gets the pot of kheer for him, and we know all these stories. So we see that in all the prayers of Bhagavatam, in all the understanding of Bhagavatam, even if someone does not have gratitude towards Srimad Bhagavatam, if someone does not have gratitude towards Ved Vyas or gratitude towards Shukdev Goswami, we see Parishit Maharaj was he had 7 days, but he what did he say? Vayam hi dhanyatama loke guru rabbi shatra bandhava vayam pibhaso mau tatva punyam krishna kathamritam. He says that, oh my Lord, my spiritual master, although we are the lowest among the Kshatriyas, we are glorified and benefited because we have the opportunity of always hearing from you the nectar of the pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Parishit Maharaj, in his last 7 days which he has to live, he's in the mood of gratitude. So one understanding is obviously the knowledge, the Sankhya knowledge, and understanding how bhakti is actually the most easiest and the most quickest way to and most rasik actually. It's bhakti is very sweet because someone might have an inclination towards academic knowledge and someone might have inclinations towards that question and answer question solving that questionnaire, but someone would just be too, you know, just like Mahaprabhu said that when Mahaprabhu was asked by the Mayavadi sannyasi that why you're a sannyasi, why don't you get into the theological understanding of the Vedas? And Mahaprabhu said that, oh, my Guru thought that I am a big fool and I wouldn't understand anything. Mahaprabhu, Veda is the sarvet aham eva Veda. He is the source of all Vedic knowledge. He is the reason and he is the person to be known from all the Vedic knowledge. He's saying that my guru found me to be a big fool, and that's why he just gave me this Hare Krishna Mahamantra to chant. Kiva mantra, Dila. What is that payar from Chaitanya Charitamrita? No one knows. Anyway, so Mahaprabhu is also propagating this philosophy or this path of bhakti in his lifestyle and his teachings. And nothing can actually come without the proper mood of gratitude. If you don't have proper gratitude, the bhakti lata beej will not actually germinate. Gratitude is like the fertilizer which actually nourishes our bhakti lata beej. So from this shloka we can understand that how Kapil Muni has in a very detailed matter, in a very detailed and very systematic approach, he has given an understanding between the spirit, between the matter and the spirit, the Purusha and the Prakriti, and how now Devavati Maya is now glorifying Kapil Muni in the next shlokas to come. So it's already time. I think we should end our Srimad Bhagavatam class here. Any questions, comments, suggestions? Yes, okay. Sure. So in a gist, it's basically I was just pointing out the difference between Kapil Muni. There's a sage who gave the atheistic philosophy about Sankhya, and then there's Lord Kapila who actually gives the the theistic understanding of Sankhya. So both of them have this thing in common that they recognize the Prakriti aspect, but the difference between between Kapil Muni's philosophy is that he fails to understand the conception of God in that. So he does recognize the 24 elements. I can just quickly name them up. The Prakriti elements, Tanmantra, sound, smell, touch, color, taste. Panch Mahabhuta, the five elements of earth, fire, air, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then Karmendriya, speech, anus, hands, legs, and genitals, and then Jnana Indriya, knowledge acquiring senses, ears, skin, nose, eyes, and tongue, and then the subtle body, Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar, and then almost related to Chetna or to spirit, but it is to refer the Dushit, it is called Dushit Chetna. It is referred as the negative consciousness a person has. So these 24 elements, but he does not recognize the existence of God. He does not recognize that behind the creation of Prakriti. So he's saying that, I gave this example that cow eats grass, produces milk, and that's just an automatic system. But they fail to understand that why is it. I was also quoting Amoli Prabhu's lecture. He was saying that if you feed grass to the cow, and if it's an automatic system, then if you feed grass to the bull, why is it that the bull does not produce milk? So why the understanding the reason, Krishna being the Sarva Karana Karanam, the reason behind all these automatic creation happening is what Kapil Muni, Lord Kapila highlights in his conversation with Devavati Maya, whereas the sage Kapila's philosophy is not wrong, but it is incomplete because it is devoid of the existence of the Purusha. So this was that something you were asking for? So this was what we were discussing, that the difference between the atheistic and the theistic philosophy of Samkhya. Any other? Does that answer? Right. Yes. Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bhaktistu bhakta sangena paridarate. If one is really ready to associate with devotees and in a favorable way, a lot of times we associate with devotees, but most of the times we're giving distress to the devotee. We have to Mad Bhaktya Puja Vadika. We don't want to give distress to the Lord. We understand that very nicely. But sometimes we fail to understand that we don't even have to give distress or suffering to the devotees. Krishna, before worshipping Krishna, if you are able to keep Krishna's devotees in prominent position, then that would really act as a fertilizer for our Bhakti Lata Beach. Because Bhakti develops among the devotees. I was giving this example how one disciple of Prabhupada, he did not want to associate with devotees. He did not wanted he didn't he wanted to avoid the so-called suffering or the so-called inconvenience he had to face in a foreign land, and he wanted to go to the Dham and do bhakti, but he couldn't prosper over there, and he just ultimately ended up giving up the path of bhakti altogether. So bhakti is the bhakta sangena parijarate means that bhakti, it is very important that one understands that one has to focus and practice bhakti among in the association of Sahajatiya Bhaktas, people who are also trying to serve Krishna. You gopis, when Krishna would in Viraha Geet and or in Gopi Geet, when gopis are in separation of Krishna, all of them are together lamenting, and all of them are together hankering for Krishna. One gopi is becoming Kaliya, and one gopi is becoming Krishna, and they're enacting the Kaliya pastime. One gopi is becoming the wooden grinding motor, and the other gopi is pushing her. Like they're trying to reenact the Ukhal or the Dambandhan pastime. So we see that even all the mellows of bhakti are actually to experience in devotee association. Only then will that be able to nourish our bhakti lata beach. If we want to reject devotees and just focus on on Bhagwan, if you want to reject bhaktas and just focus on Bhagwan will not actually give any heed to our bhakti. We're short of time, but it's a very very nice story. I would just like in 2 lines. I would just summarize it. I'm forgetting the name of this Sri Vaishnava Acharya. So this Sri Vaishnava Acharya would maybe whenever I speak next, I can highlight on this story more. So this story is that Vardharaj, because he's born out of the Yajna Kund, he feels very hot. So there's always a person fanning him. So there's one devotee Sri Vaishnava devotee who's fanning the Lord, and when he's fanning the Lord, um, every evening there's one more devotee who assists because he's a bit old. He assists him back to his house. So that person asked him that, and this person who used to fan the Lord, he was such a pure devotee that he could actually speak to the Lord. So the whole day the Lord would and him would have direct conversations. So whatever he would ask the Lord would actually reply. So he said that, so this devotee who would actually help him go back to home, get back home, he would ask him that, can you ask Varadaraj if after this lifetime can I go back home back to Godhead? So he said, of course I will. Next day he asked Varadaraj. He said that, oh yeah, because he's helping you, he's serving you, and you're my devotee, he will go back home back to Godhead. And then the person said, oh, then will I go back home back to Godhead? So Varadaraj said, no, you won't go back home back to Godhead. So he said, oh, the person serving me will go back home back to Godhead, but I won't go back home back to Godhead. Why is that? So he says, so Varadaraj ji said that because you're serving me and you're not serving my devotee. So he said, oh, is it so that the ticket to Golok or to Vaikuntha is only if you serve a devotee? Then he just gives the fan in the hand of the Lord and goes. And he says, I'm going to find a devotee where I can serve a devotee and go back home, like come to your abode after this lifetime. So then he finds another very exalted devotee. And because he's such an exalted devotee himself, he knows that if he goes to that devotee, he wouldn't actually get any service to perform. So he goes, he changes his, he removes his tilaka, he takes a, he goes in a garb of a cowherd boy and takes care of the cows of that. Now it so happens that once there is heavy rain, and the person is in the devotee is in the cow shed. He thinks that now I'm in seclusion and I can do my gayatri and I can do my chanting and everything. So he has that tilak and everything on, and he's remembering the Lord. And at that time, the other devotee under whose shelter this devotee was actually serving, he comes and he sees and he recognizes, oh, you're that pure devotee, the Lord who's actually serving Varadaraj personally, and who's in such a intimate position that Varadaraj actually speaks to you. Why are you doing such a incurring such a Vaishnava aparadha on me by doing such menial jobs at my cow shed or at my house? And then he told him that Varadaraj told me that only if I serve a devotee, I can come home, I can come back home back to God, and that's why I came to you. Because the ticket to Golok or the ticket to the spiritual world is only given by a devotee. And then he goes back to Varadaraj and he says, now can I come back to Vaikuntha? And Varadaraj said, now you've served a devotee, now you can come back. And then he takes the fan and starts fanning Varadaraj again. So we understand that only through path of bhakti can one actually grow in bhakti. Only through association devotees can one grow in the path of bhakti. Does that answer the question? Right. What is your question for it? There's a very nice lecture again by Amulya Prabhu. I'll send that to you. Where it's a good Purnima lecture, and he's highlighting the differences between Gautam Buddha and the Vishnu incarnation Buddha. I'll send that to you. That would be really helpful. So it's just that Gautam Buddha rejected the Vedas, whereas and propagated non-violence, whereas whereas the incarnation Buddha kept the Vedas in a prominent position and propagated non-violence through that. And he was born. There are like technical differences as well. That the incarnation Buddha was born in India, Bihar, Bodh Gaya, whereas the other Gautam Buddha was born in Nepal. So I'll send you that lecture. Hmm? Hmm? You want that lecture? I'll give it to you as well. That's passed on. Yes. Same answer. Devotees. Because we're not in that position. We're not in that position that we can face to face or have a direct conversation with Varadaraj, with Gopinath. We should go to the devotees, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We should go Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Seva Updekshanti Te Jnanam. Jnaninas Tattvadarshana. 434 Bhagavad Gita says that if you want to know the spiritual knowledge, if you want to have that understanding, you have to approach Guru. It is very ironic. Krishna, in second chapter, Arjun says, "Oh Krishna, I want to become your disciple. I accept you as my Guru." But even then, Krishna is saying, "No, you have to go to a Guru." So if a person, a lot of times people say that, "Oh, I accept Krishna as my Guru. I don't need a Guru." Well, Krishna is telling Arjuna that, okay, even if I am giving you the spiritual knowledge, I am the Lord. I am being your Guru. But still I tell you to go and seek tad vidhi pranipadena pariprashrina seva and serve that Guru and then humbly ask questions. So Guru, Sadhu, all the devotees, if you want to know if the Lord is reciprocating with your devotional activities, whatever bhakti you are performing, you can only know that by how good relations you have with the devotees. By if you want to serve devotee, actually try serving devotees more than trying to serve the Lord. A lot of times people just rush. I do that a lot of times. Rush because I'm not able to see. I have a practical reason. My eyes are weak. So a lot of times devotees just rush ahead to look at Gopinath. But I was listening to this lecture by Nitai Sevi Mataji. Even if you go to Gopinath, Gopinath will look at you and see, oh yeah, this person this person has this foul smell of material desires. This person has foul smell of envy, greed, lust, anger. I don't want to look at him. But then the Gopinath sees his pure devotee. And he says, yes, this is my devotee, I want to look at him. And then, but the advantage is if you're standing behind that devotee, then Gopinath would see, oh, what is this bee hovering around my devotee? And that way he would look at you as well. Because you are trying to serve a devotee. You should, one should take darshan, if possible, they should stand behind a pure devotee and take darshan. Because that way it is sure that the Lord will see you. Because the Lord will always want to see his pure devotees. So if you want to know if you want to get that
develop this vision of Krishna, even when you're talking knowledge, or even you're talking Gopi Geets, even if you're talking Kapila Sankhya, or even if you're talking the 11 Yogendras complex philosophy, or you're talking Uddhava Gita, or you're talking Bhumi Gita, or you're talking Rudra Gita, or you're talking Pracheta's anger towards all the trees, or you're talking Durasumani being chased by the Sudarshan Chakra, or you're talking Brahmagra Gita by Radhika Mataji, the Radhika Rani. When you're talking about it, there's no difference for a devotee. Why? Sthavara Jangama Dekhe, Na Dekhe Tara Murti, Sarvatra Hoye. Yeah, now you see a whale in the Atlantic Ocean with a calf. You see yourself, Krishna, and you protected under him. You see the total material energy, you see all the chemicals and the ingredients and the material forces, but you see the animator as super soul. Andantarastha Paramanuja Antarastham Govinda.